Welcome back. It's time to get right with Sauce and Season. All right, so welcome back, everybody. My name is Crystal, aka Sauced.
And I'm Tanya, aka Seasoned.
So Mom made some nice little food for us. And so I have some dumplings and then cooked dumplings, and then I have some saltfish and I have some butter beans.
And I have fried dumplings and I have plantain in my plate. So you want to explain what kind of cuisine we're
I'll let
tonight?
you explain it.
Okay, so tonight is more Caribbean, right? But it's more on the Jamaican side. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how many of you know my husband is Jamaican.
And my husband is Jamaican as well.
And her husband is Jamaican. And then I also am of Guyanese heritage. So Guyanese American. My mom's American. My dad's Guyanese. So I tend to have those days where I want some West Indian food. And today was that. I actually was going to make
Jamaican,
her favorite.
I love saltfish. It's my favorite.
I actually was going to make some Jamaican soup, chicken soup, but I didn't. So my husband actually said when I gave him the food, your dad was like, "Oh, I was here waiting for your soup. That's what I was waiting for. And then you bring me a plate of saltfish, but I'm okay." Right. My husband loves butter beans with his saltfish, so I made butter beans as well, and so I'm having a little bit of that. For those who don't know, saltfish is a fish generally made out of codfish, where it's salted to be preserved.
Very salty too.
It is very salty. So one of the ways to prepare it is, and maybe one day I'll bring some out for you guys to see. One way to prepare it is when you buy it, it's in a package. For some people, like in New York City, they used to sell it in a box. So it would you'd have to package it in a plastic bag yourself, kind of like the bags you use to package your vegetables and fruits when you go to the produce section. So you would put that salted fish in there. So what you generally do is soak it overnight to take off the salt, and then you throw it away, change the water, and do it again. And then you boil it rapidly.
But it's good.
To get the salt off. One of the things I do is I really get the salt off because I have high blood pressure. So when I do want it, I only have a little bit. That's the first thing. And most of the time, mine is so fresh, as my husband would say, which means it doesn't have a lot of salt or seasoning on it when you first put it in the pot. It's normally doesn't have a lot of salt because I try to get as much salt off. And then I cook it up. You cook it up with like salt, with onions and tomatoes. For some people, they use green peppers, yellow peppers, a little bit of hot sauce. Of course, you got to have some spice.
And you'll find that people cook it very differently, which is pretty interesting to me.
Right. So from every region, because even in Jamaica, I found that when I've eaten food from one family member is different from another, depending on the region they're from. And when you are from other islands, like I grew up in a home where I was raised in a Trinidadian American home. And in that home, we ate it a lot in a different way than Jamaicans do. There's a thing called buljo that I love from Trinidad. And so that's with peppers and your oil and your dish, but it's good, right? So that's what we have tonight, just a little Caribbean flavor. So I want to highlight this little drink here. So we found it at Kroger, my husband and I. And we were like, let's try it because it was being discontinued, right? Selling at Kroger. And my husband actually drank it and said he liked it better than what they have at places like Golden Crust and other Jamaican spots, which was interesting to me because you know your dad is picky. Oh, I was just about to say, because you know your dad is picky. When it comes to Jamaican food, he is very critical.
I feel like most Jamaicans are.
Most West Indians, period.
Especially when it comes to Golden Crust too, they used to talk about everything. Like, why just eat the food? Just eat the food and be quiet.
So yeah, this is pretty good. So if you can still find it, it's called Squeezer. It actually looks like what's the name of that we get in this same bottle? Something similar.
I was looking at it too. And I was like,
I forgot it. It's a drink that we buy in the grocery store. But anyway, it's called Squeezer Caribbean Rhythmic, and it's sorrel and ginger. For those who don't know, sorrel is actually called hibiscus in the United States and in other places. You have to be very careful with hibiscus or with sorrel. We make it, we boil it. It looks like a little bud, like a planted bud, and you boil it, and we put a little sugar and ginger in it. Some people put rum in it. My husband doesn't drink, so this was perfect for him because there's no type of liquor or anything like that in it. But this really does taste good. I was amazed how good it tastes. So anyway, I'm gonna dig in, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was talking, so I was eating while she was talking.
I'm so hungry right now because
we always hungry when we do these because we really be waiting to eat. But it's so good. And we do have a topic for today as well, but I'm gonna let us kind of eat some and then we can talk. So I hope y'all all had a good Christmas.
Yes. How was your Christmas?
So drop it down in the comments what y'all did for Christmas or how you enjoyed it, or if you didn't, what the reason why. You know.
I actually was not home for Christmas. Our Christmas plans kind of turned out a little bit not what we wanted. But towards the end, I'm assuming that it was a little bit better. For myself and and my family. So we're really gonna do a lot now for New Year's. We did have a COVID scare. We were exposed in different places. And so we went and got tested and we are negative. Common cold and flu does still exist because that's what it was.
Right. Well, for you.
For me. Because I was having symptoms of chills and a headache. Everybody knows. So I don't know how many know, but me and Crystal did have COVID back in February. The family had it, and that was one of the reasons we kind of took a break from taping and things like that.
Yeah.
So I really didn't want it again.
Yeah.
I am vaccinated. I know everybody's not with that, and I'm not here to sell it on you or anything.
Child. Do your research. Figure it out for yourself.
That's up to you. And so one of the things I do know is the vaccination doesn't prevent me from ever getting COVID. It just prevents, or it's supposed to help with the seriousness of the symptoms. And so I just really didn't want it again. I didn't want to battle that all over again.
No, because it affects people different ways. But
correct,
with this variant, they're reporting that it's not as extreme. But when you've got it already, you don't want to. I don't care how less extreme it is. I just don't want it ever again.
Right.
And for us, it wasn't. I mean, it affected me and Mom in different ways.
Correct.
But for me, it was like zapping my energy. And I feel like even after I recovered, I didn't fully recover with my energy. Like I was still very tired. Even when I was going back to work and everything like that. Like I couldn't do a whole lot. So personally, I wasn't interested in it again. She found out she just had a common cold. I didn't have anything. I was actually exposed to somebody I was around on Christmas. And even though we wasn't with that person for particularly too long, I was just like, better safe than sorry. And me and Grace was with them and Chad as well, my husband. So we just all went, me and Gracie went and got tested, and thank the Lord we were negative. So blessings there. And I told people already, I'm in my bubble now. So don't ask me to go nowhere with it rising back up. No, ma'am. I'm about to be to myself, go back from work.
Correct.
Home, maybe to select places. I ain't gonna be in no large crowds. I'm sorry, but FaceTime me, video me. I know everybody's tired of Zoom, but it is what it is at this stage.
I'll kind of be in my bubble too, back with just the family. Because I'm not ready for it.
And I've already told certain people, like, hey, if I'm around you, I'm gonna be wearing a mask. Don't take it as offense to me saying that you dirty or nothing.
Right.
It's just better safe than sorry. I don't care if you family. I'm gonna be wearing my mask, and you just gonna have to live with it.
Even at our business, we've made some changes. Oh, yeah. So yeah,
and we'll be making some new changes just because in Georgia it has risen again. So much so that even when we try to go get our COVID test, the line
5 miles long
to use our insurance, y'all, we would have. It was as if we were going to vote.
Right.
We would have been in the line for like probably 3 to 4 hours.
Right. 5 miles
because it was not moving. Like we moved probably like 2 steps. 2 steps for like 20 minutes. I was like, yeah. And then we had Grace. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay in this line for 4 hours. She hasn't eaten anything. Yeah, you ain't finna stress us out. So we ended up going somewhere else and paying to get our test. But it was cool. Like I was just happy to get it done and get our results. So that was a positive thing.
So I don't know. I know I mentioned dumplings and fried dumplings. So I'm just going to say this real quick. There's a difference from what we know in the States as chicken and dumplings and dumplings made in the islands. They're a little, you can boil them or fry them. The fried ones have baking powder in it to make them rise. You have dish-shaped ones and you have flat round ones. Normally my family likes the flat round ones. So they really got on me tonight because they said my dumplings were a little anorexic, and that's because I realized I didn't have enough flour in the house. But like the cooked ones, they're boiled. But with these, they're made from flour. Some people put a little bit of butter in them. You put your salt in them, and then you knead them. So they're not soft like the dumplings we find in chicken and dumplings in the South or other places where it's made. And the fried ones, same flour, salt. Some people put a little butter in it, but with baking powder, you need that as well. You let it sit for a minute. Then you take them and you shape them, and you put them in oil to fry. The other ones you boil. So I just want to say that because I know some people don't know, and it's you. Sometimes you got to teach, and that's nothing wrong with that because it's nice to learn. Because I love to go places and eat and learn different cultures. I think one day we're gonna try some African food, so we'll see how that turns out. I've tried Ethiopian food. My husband's not a big fan because he likes to dip, and I think it's called. I can't remember if it's called jera. Please forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. But the bread that's used, the flat bread that's used to dip into certain foods, it was too soft for him.
Yeah.
He's a
That's my fear when we talk about trying African food. Is just I'm a very texture person. Like if you watch any of our videos where we taste certain stuff, if the texture is off for me, it's kind of hard for me to eat it. It wouldn't even have to be about the taste. It's just like the texture is the first thing that hits me first. So, but I'm open to trying anything. I think you should experience it at least one time to know if you like it or don't like it, and then go from there. So, my favorite is cooked dumplings. I like cooked dumplings over everything. That's my favorite. So.
And that's because she likes to fry them after. So if they're a day old and there are any left over, you can chop them in half.
And that's when it's the best, y'all. Tell me it's the best. I'm so excited, y'all.
Little oil and fry them.
She didn't make enough for me to even try to do that though.
I didn't. There's 2 left. If your brother,
they didn't already ate it. I'm pretty confident. So I did have a topic for us to talk about. So I'll start us off and then eat some and you can start. So I didn't get the exact comment. I was trying to get the comment back, but you know how with Facebook, it be there 1 minute, then it vanishes the next. So I'm going to freelance what I read. But basically, I don't know if y'all know, but Meagan Goode and Devon Franklin, that was her husband. They are divorcing. They've been married for 9 years. And he filed for divorce, and they both released a statement saying that it was mutual, and that there's no hard feelings basically on either side. They basically released the exact same statement with each other, saying that it was just the best. They're still friends and all that good stuff. So the post that I saw today, it was actually from a guy, and he was just saying, he recapped that Meagan and Devon, or Devon, how do you say his name? Devon, yeah, that they're divorcing after 9 years. And his statement, I'm gonna summarize it, paraphrase it, was basically saying when they first got married, they was doing conferences, they were releasing statements, they were doing talking about celibacy and doing all these different things. They released a book called The Wait, about waiting, for your person, all that good stuff. And they was doing all these different things at the beginning of the marriage. And basically he was kind of critiquing them and saying they came out and did all of this. And then he said, but once things got to where it is, now you're divorcing her. And so the purpose of his statement, to kind of summarize what he was saying, was when they first came out, they did all this. They jumped at the moment to release and talk about how they did what they did to get married. And he said in the statement he had wrote, you have to go through something first before you can talk about how to maintain it. So he was basically saying they came out, they did all this good stuff, and now things got hard. You actually got you a challenge, and now you can't even honor the challenge and stay married. So I wanted to talk about that, your feelings about it and things like that. Me personally, I've been reading various other things as well that I want to kind of touch on with it. But I want to talk about first that statement that he made when they first came out. They did all these things. Do you feel like that was right? Because he's kind of critiquing that they should have even did that to begin with, because they hadn't had any years or anything under them. They never had any experiences. In his opinion, my opinion is we don't know what they did go through or didn't go through. To be very honest, I feel like they was very quiet in their marriage. They didn't release a whole lot of stuff. So outside of the conferences and stuff that they did, you didn't really hear too much about them. So I didn't even realize it had been 9 years. I ain't even gonna lie to you. So I feel like we don't really know what challenges they did or did not go to say that they haven't gone through anything. Do I feel like they came out immediately and started doing stuff. Yes, I've seen it personally, and I've seen it even recently, where somebody and people have gotten married, and the first thing they do is now all this different stuff to talk about marriage. It's just like, you just got married 2 weeks ago. Like, you know, maybe wait a little bit. But so I do kind of agree that sometimes people get married and that's when they try to do all this stuff and they try to talk about what's the do's and the don'ts. And I do think even within 2 weeks, you can start learning about your mate, because it is different. Like when I got married, I did feel a difference afterwards, you know, like, because now it's a commitment that's been made, and now there's a little bit more, what's the word? It's not as much wiggle room of how you could have done things when you were single or dating. Correct. Like now it's like you get mad at each other. One of y'all gotta stay in the house. Like that's my rule. Like we stay in the house, whether you going, I'm going, I don't care, but we gonna be in this house together. Right. You know, so there's a little bit less stuff you can do. So I do agree, like a lot of people get married and I feel like they use that as a reason to now you can start giving people advice. And I don't like that personally all the time, whether it's marriage or something else that they have just been through that. I feel like people always try to do that first. And I feel like you do want to maybe wait and see how marriage is for you first before releasing stuff. But I do think what they were talking about when they first came out was their experience. When they first came out, they was talking about her being celibate and him being celibate and getting together. So I feel like in that case, they weren't talking about like how to stay married. They were talking about, you know, how did we wait for each other to make this commitment? And I don't feel like that was anything wrong in my opinion. And I feel like also to say that they haven't gone through anything, we don't really know that. We don't know what they did or did not go through. But I do agree with part of his statement regarding like the first thing they did was came out with all these different stuff. I do agree with that, but I do feel like the stuff they came out with was based on their personal experience, which makes it a tad bit different in my mind. But what are your thoughts?
I think you hit a couple of things that I was going to talk about. So one of it was that from what I'm hearing you say, because I didn't follow them well enough, I just know the beginning of their love story. I don't know all of it through. Like you said, they were pretty quiet, so there wasn't a lot that they shared. But to be able to share how they got together, there's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
In my mind, because that was their experience. They didn't have an experience about being maintained. And so from what I do know, I don't remember them talking about how to maintain a marriage. I heard them talk about how to maintain celibacy before marriage. What did it do for them and their marriage at that point, and how it strengthened them in a relationship and a friendship.
I agree.
So, like for myself, I was not saved when I got married, and I was not saved when I met your father. So, with that being said, I don't have that same
testimony.
So, therefore, I couldn't help people that have that peace because I don't understand it. I learned the following after I did get saved, how to maintain a marriage. So now I can work on that because things changed when I got married to say I have to now involve God in it. I can speak on that and how to maintain the problems that we went through. Now, the young man saying, or the person who said this, talked about, like you said, they didn't go through nothing. You don't know what they went through in their marriage. And sometimes, you know, biblically, the Bible talks about the fact that the older people must teach the young people. Well, there's not a lot of leadership sharing the truth anymore about marriage.
I agree.
So they, you know, if they follow somebody that's on TV and they didn't have a close personal relationship, then sometimes they don't get the truth about what goes on after you get married. You know, my pastor always says that you have 30% you'll see before marriage. The other 70% you don't see till after marriage. That's why it's important to have proper counseling before, but even counseling during if you can. And it depends on who you want to counsel you. If it's biblical counseling, one of the things that I'm very careful about, or was very careful about in my marriage, and maybe that's me, you know, some people are different, but I watched the leadership over me.
I agree.
If the leadership over me, I noticed their marriage was like tanking, I'm sorry, I love you. You may have experience, but you can't speak into my marriage. I'm sorry, because at the end of the day, I need value and valid information. One of the things that I do, and you know this is, because you've said it before, when you were growing up, or when you got married. Mom, thank you and Daddy for living out the truth in front of us. So if y'all had an argument, we also saw y'all fix it. And sometimes people don't have that. So maybe they didn't have anybody that was showing them how to fix it. And then maybe their expectations were not right. Because you can't fix nobody in a marriage.
Sure can't.
So if at all, and I don't know, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but you can't make a woman a first lady while you also cannot make a man a pastor. So let's speak about that part. So I hope that was not one of the challenges, trying to make it look like that.
Forcing it to work.
Forcing it to work. And then the other thing is, some people cannot take the weight of being in that type of leadership, pastoral, woman of God, that is
or
a
just
first
in the church
lady,
in
or
general.
in the church
but
in
then
general.
with her, in her case, it was more like a first lady.
She had
just
got saved,
and he's a pastor. So
right? He's a pastor. She's just now finding Christ
and then
in her life.
To speak on it, she got a lot of criticism.
Correct.
Like, you can go back and just search her stuff, and there's been videos, even when they've had the conference. Like, I remember that one experience of the video with her and her husband on stage, and a lady just stood up and started attacking the girl because of her outfit. And I feel like in the body of Christ,
I do remember that.
I do feel like people can be so hypocritical, and I feel like they are so judgmental. And when you have a new believer, you have to be very careful. I'm not saying don't baby nobody, don't correct, but it's about how you correct. And I've been in rooms where some of these church ladies have tried to correct, and they correct the wrong way. And just being who I am, I'm gonna check you. I don't care if you first lady, second lady, third lady, fourth lady, usher in the deacon board. I don't care who you is. Like, it's a way you approach people that's gonna keep and maintain somebody, especially when they're new. Because when they're new, they ain't fully tethered. They there. They know they want to be there, but they ain't tethered. They ain't there. You could easily lose somebody just with how you talk to them.
Right.
And I do think it's a right and wrong way. Like, I remember even the experience that I saw where a first lady, somebody was sitting a certain way. And their skirt was a little short, but they was closer to the front. So who close to the front? The pastor and everybody else, because they got to look at it. And all she did was she took her little thing and she just put it over the girl's leg.
Right.
She didn't go and say, you need to get from the front row showing all that. She didn't do none of that. She just came, put it over there, and just gave it to her. And smiled and just walked away.
She was gracious.
That's how you do it. It's all about your approach. Like, it's about how you do it. And I feel like a lot of people are very judgmental. And that was some of the comments even I was reading. So some of the comments I read on his post was, I already knew this was going to happen. They was already unequally yoked.
See, that's the whole teaching that if I let your dad loose on the unequally yoked,
people take it and they put their own spin on it. I'm like,
they do.
First of all, she was saved too. Maybe she wasn't at the higher level of his experience as he was, but she was saved. Like, dang, don't do the girl like that.
Now I will say this, because I that scripture, people use it to throw stones all the time. There's so much behind that unequally yoked scripture, because she was saved. Like you said, she didn't know Jesus. She was a child of God.
She just had his same experience.
So where was the unequally yokedness? Because he was a pastor and she was down here.
Correct.
Well, in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, there was a prophet that God told to marry a hoe, prostitute. Sorry, y'all. Excuse me. To marry a prostitute.
Oh,
right. I'm just saying. In layman's terms, I'm gonna tell you.
Because if you read the Bible be cutthroat.
Jesus was very...
Everybody trying to patch up everything, but the Bible be cutthroat.
Right, so that's why you have to go back and read for yourself. But there was... And then guess what? This young woman in the Bible, who was also a prostitute, became part of the lineage of Christ. And nowhere along the lines did it say she ever gave her life to Christ. Right? But God told the prophet, go back. The prophet was like, God, you sure? Go! That's your wife, right? So I think that people can be judgmental, like you said. Yep. You know, the scriptures do say that leadership has the right, and those within leadership with grace have the right to judge the body, because we are all of the same body. We are not out here. We shouldn't be out here pointing fingers at the world because they're doing what they're doing. But in the church, yes, we do have a right to judge and correct. But it's all about how you did it. When Jesus sat with the woman at the well, and in that day and time, he wasn't even supposed to be speaking to this lady. But when he sat with her at the well, never once did he point out that she was running around sleeping with people's husbands. He sat there, he talked to her, he said, woman, if you try this water that I have, you will be made whole. You won't have to go look for no other water. And she was talking to him, and all of a sudden, have you ever been in a room when you don't know why, but people start telling you their business? That's how you know the Holy Ghost is in that room. Because you be looking at them like, oh, wait, hold on.
They do it all the time.
Right, all the time. You could be at the grocery store. I just want to buy my food at Walmart.
Girl, this is
and
supposed
they
to
tell you.
You know when I hate the most? When I'm supposed to be enjoying myself.
Oh, my. Ooh, hold on. I got to give you this one. Went out to have some food one day. Right, I think we were at Red Lobster. And the Lord led me to minister prophetically to the woman standing there. My whole family was like, We knew this was going to happen. And I'm just sitting there like, Lord, all I want to do is eat this shrimp. Just have this scampi because it's my favorite. But what I was saying is, not to get off track and not chase rabbits. But what I'm saying I will do it. I'll sneak a preacher, as Crystal was saying.
I had to zoom past her because she will do it.
But one of the things that I'm saying is Jesus did not belittle people. He loved people. Now, correction is important.
It's all about how you do it.
But it's all about how you do it. Can you do it in love and with grace? Now, when he needed to correct with some force, he did that too.
Now, God himself now. That one.
He ain't play because all of a sudden, like pastors say, all of a sudden you be doing something you shouldn't do. The hole open up.
Thank God for the new.
Thank God for Jesus.
The New Testament, because they're all Testament.
All of a sudden you disappear.
That one.
You talking and you disappear.
Turn around, you get turned to a pillow.
Right. Where you at? Where did she go?
A little hesitation.
Right. All she did was hesitate, but 2.5 seconds. Yep. Nah, she shouldn't have turned around because my instructions was to run forward.
That's what's so funny because, and at the end of it, we don't know the ins and outs of their marriage. We don't know why they're divorcing. There's a lot of rumors out there. They're divorcing because...
You killed your food.
Yeah, I told you my favorite. There's a lot of rumors that they're divorcing because of her not getting pregnant. There's a lot of rumors saying that they're divorcing because of roles that she took and all these different stuff. It's a whole bunch of rumors. But at the end of the day, the only people who really gonna know is her, him, and God. Them the only people who really know. But I do want to touch on this last statement that I read